Hey you guys, it is me, Laura, and I am a homeschooling mom to 3 kids, ages 3, 8, and 10. And today I'm going to share with you about Brave Writer. Brave Writer is a language arts program that many people ask about, but it's quite different than the traditional language arts program where you get a teacher guide, you do what it says, you walk through, and you're done. It is completely different from that, and for that reason it can be overwhelming to a lot of people. So in this video I'm going to take you through each of the Brave Writer products, as well as show you a peek inside of what it looks like in Brave Learner Home, and at the end I'll talk a little bit about how we use these resources in our homeschool. So if you're only interested in one aspect of Brave Writer, be sure to check the description box below. I will put timestamps in at each of those places so you can find what you're looking for. So without further ado, let's go to my desk and take a look inside these programs. All right, let's start with the Writer's Jungle, and this is kind of where it all began for Brave Writer. This is a second edition that they have, and it is available for purchase on the website as a PDF download. And this is kind of the basis for what all of the rest of this is about. So Julie Bogart wrote this as an explanation of how you can teach writing to your children in more of a lifestyle format. I've printed out selections to show you. I believe that this part is available in the preview online, the table of contents. But this is basically a guide. How do I teach writing to my child? How do I help them improve on what they're already writing? How do I engage them in writing assignments? How do I get them working? So this is not a curriculum in the sense of this is what you do. This is like the ultimate teacher guide to all the other parts of the Brave Writer program. So if you look at it, you can see here, it is like a book. So you're gonna read through this and highlight and take notes. And there's all these extra notes that she's provided on the side too, but it talks about narration. I mean, this is really kind of the philosophy behind teaching your child how to write. And that's what this whole book is going to talk about. It talks about 3 keys for building good writers: read good writing, musical language, talks about things like good descriptions, opening hooks, all that kind of stuff. So what this part is going to do, this is going to help you as a parent know how to engage with your child as they're doing writing projects, how to encourage them to grow in their writing, how to know what good writing is, how to use the world around you to engage in that. And so that's what the Writer's Jungle is. It's kind of the very basic, I don't know, the ultimate teacher's guide is what I could say. It sets the foundation for all the other programs. However, the entire book is like this. It does not have in it a step-by-step guide. It does not say this is what you need to do with your child. It doesn't give you any kind of assignments. It's very much just helping you understand writing so that you can teach it to your child in a way that's engaging for them. So that's kind of the first part of this. So after Julie wrote this, people were wanting step-by-step guides to help them put this into practice. And that's where we have the next few programs. The first program that we're going to look at is their Writing Projects program. Now there are actually several steps to this. In Brave Writer, Julie has what's called the natural stages of writing growth. She has an amazing video on her website that goes through all of these stages, explains them in more detail, but just as kind of an overview, children start at Jot It Down, which is approximately ages 5 through 8. This can start younger, it can go until a little bit older. The ages just kind of give a ballpark, but this is in the beginning when children are just learning to read, to write, and to spell. They can't get the sophistication of thought that they have onto paper, so you come and help them write out their thoughts. The second is partnership writing, where the child is starting to write some on their own, but they can't still fully write everything in their mind, and they need your help to get rich punctuation and spelling and vocabulary all on the page. And so it's kind of a partnership. You work together to do that writing, and that's usually about age 9 to 10. Again, it can go later, earlier, it kind of depends. And then there's faltering ownership. So this is the stage when the student can begin to get some stuff on the page without help from parents, although they still tire and will still need help from time to time. They're really starting to be proud of the work that they're producing, and they are still struggling some with spelling and some with grammar, and will need some support to show those things. But in this role, the parent really becomes more of an editor and support, and is kind of backing off a little bit. And then you have the transition to ownership. This is about ages 13 to 14, and this is when they can start doing drafts and papers and all of these assignments and things independently, and they're really starting to dig a little bit deeper in their thinking. And then the final stage in the Brave Writer program is eavesdropping on the great conversation, which is about ages 15 to 18. And at this point, a student can read from a bunch of different things from a bunch of different fields. They can craft a thesis statement and work on essays in more deep form. They can really just start doing a lot of things that will prepare them for college. So that kind of gives you an overview of what it is. This is jotted down. This is the first program, and I'm going to show you a little bit about what's inside. So this is all about giving you specific assignments if you need that to help your children with writing. So if you look inside, this is going to have in it talking about language arts and oral language and writing projects, setting the context and giving you ideas. So that's kind of the introduction, like the way that this is laid out. And then the whole rest of the book is mostly filled up with actual projects that she has that you can implement with your child. So here's her introduction, and all of this front matter in this book and all of these resources actually is super, super, super important to the program, and you need to read it before you dive in. So here she goes into talking a little bit about those stages of writing growth that I told you about, and explains a little bit more there. So she talks about setting the context and how the atmosphere that you have set up is really important for your family. She talks about the Brave Writer lifestyle, things like poetry tea time, which originated with Julie here at the Brave Writer. She talks about how weekly movies are actually important to literature growth, how nature study can be a part of literacy, and art appreciation. She talks about music and how to tie all of this in with your language arts. And here is routine versus schedule. And so here she has a sample routine, but notice how she gives a different one for each season, because the way that we school changes depending on what's going on outside. And she just explains a little bit about how you might put all your language arts in together. And where she talks about this copy work and some of these things, you can pull those from the mechanics program that she has too. So she goes a little bit more into this, and then she talks about oral practice. So here's some recitation, some things that you can use for recitation, some things that you can do together in oral practice with your child, since they're not writing a whole lot at this age, some wordplay, some memorization, ideas of things that you can do with your child that don't involve writing, but that are still developing those writing skills. So this is the writing program. The program comes with 10 writing projects that are listed here, and this is kind of the suggestion of the way that you would use it. Week 1, you're gonna, and this is often meant that you're writing, maybe working on this maybe once a week, give or take, depending on your family, but that's about how it's set up. So week 1, you're gonna select a topic, do research, gather material. Week 2, you're gonna start developing the content. Your child's gonna transcribe to you, you're gonna get photos, draw illustrations, etc. Week 3 is when you're going to add detail, do any revision, compile content. And week 4, you're going to publish it. So you're going to put it in a good binding, you're going to print it if you need to from the computer, get the final version, and then ideally share it with someone who's going to be interested in seeing it, because sharing work is a huge part of what makes it special. So I've printed just one project in here to kind of show you how it all comes together. So you have your fairy tale project, which there'll be the description of that, and the objective, and the process. And so here's the project. So they're going to read a fairy tale, retell it in 2 ways: visually, create a pictorial representation, and orally they're going to do it. And you're going to it's transcribed narration. So the child's going to tell you, and you're going to write down what they say, and you're going to put together this big project of fairy tales. So not only does it give you that information, but it gives you different fairy tales that you can use, and examples of supplies that you might need, examples of things that her children have done with these projects, and give you clues to help with oral narration to help your child know what that they can say. And this goes through all the a bunch of different fairy tales. Pick the ones that you want to do with your child, skip the rest, and if you want to add more, you can. So that is that project. And then it has, a gingerbread house, things that you can do kind of to go with it. It gives you variations, and it gives you all kinds of things that you can do with this project. And so that is how it goes from week to week, and it will give you kind of a breakdown of what to do. So with this program will also come, and just to show you, here's the partnership writing. I did the table of contents, which is the next level up. So this has a lot of the same front matter, but it's going to be a different level because you're working with a different level of child who has a different level of writing ability. And then in this book, these are going to be a little bit more complex writing projects, still 10 writing projects that you can do with your child. And at each level, you are going to get this writing guide. It's kind of like a schedule tracker. It's called the Weekend Focus Planner and Writing Skills Tracker. So if you need a little bit more guidance still, this will help you plan things pretty consistently. So what it does is it gives you a weekend focus. So this is for the Secret Codes project in the partnership writing program. And so you're going to write your dates that you're going to work on it and what children are working on it. And for planning, these are part of the Brave Writer lifestyle. So these are the things that you're going to be doing daily if you want to do some daily work on this project. Things you're going to be doing on each day of the week. You're going to be doing some of these things. Maybe one of these days you're going to pick to actually work on the Secret Codes project. Maybe another day you'll do a movie every day, or maybe you'll read books on Tuesdays or do recitation. Anyway, these are all the parts that were talked about in the introduction of the Jotted Down or Partnership or whatever project book. And then it's got the writing project. So these are things that you can do that are going to help you with that writing project, the things that you need to kind of look at. And so it's got the planning there. And then here on the back, these are specific skills. So you can keep track of the skills that your child is learning and how they're doing on those skills. These are basic writing skills. This is a skills word bank, and write your own narrative so that you can write what your child learned through this project. And this is going to be especially helpful for those of you who need to keep records for your state, for your homeschooling. And you can write, are these skills in progress? Are they learned? Are we going to save them for later? That kind of deal. So there's one of these with each of the different writing projects that you have. And so they're each going to have a little bit of different skills that you've learned. They're each going to have different planning. They're going to be definitely tailored to those programs. So that is what this is, and this will come with whichever level you buy. You'll get the corresponding planning guide. So that was a look at the writings programs that they have, the writings projects programs that they have. And now I'm going to take a look at the mechanics and literature programs. There are 4 different levels to this program. And this is going to be a program that you do with a read aloud with your family. So you're going to be reading literature together. It will talk about the literature and give you ideas to help you do that. And it's also going to include copywork and grammar for your child as well. So there are 4 different levels. And again, the ages are kind of vary. There's DART, which the books and the activities are geared towards ages 8 to 10. There's Arrow, which is ages 11 to 12. Boomerang is ages 13 to 14, and Slingshot is for 15 to 18-year-olds or for parents who are wanting to do this on their own as well. And you can pull from any of those programs for any ages. Just be aware that you might have to cut down or add to some of the copywork to make it longer or shorter. And some of the content in some of the books for older children is more appropriate for that age group that they are set in. So you can just be aware of that when you look at the books. But this is the DART. I've got programs from both the DART and the Arrow. When you order any program of any level, you will get automatically with each one a guideline that goes with that level. So any Arrow that you order comes with the Arrow guidelines, any DART comes with the DART guidelines, and so on and so forth. So let's start by looking at the guidelines, and then I will show you inside of the Mr. Popper's Penguins DART program. So the DART guidelines will come in a PDF. So this talks about limits, and it talks about the copyright and all of that you want to be sure that you do. It talks about getting to know the darts and all the parts of the darts, which I'll be going over with you in a minute. The planner, skills. Okay, so this basically is your teacher guide that goes with your dart or arrow or whatever unit that you've got. There's sample routines with here. A lot of times people ask, how do I put it into copywork? How do I do that? It will go over that here. There are, it talks about copywork and dictation and how to do that. Practical tips for copywork and dictation, explains the different types. It basically gives you everything that you need to know in order to carry out what you're going to find in your dart. And there's also a skills tracker in here that can be used with your child as you go through all the levels of dart. And this is just a way for you to keep track of the language arts skills that you're teaching your child so that you can make sure that they master these things in general. And you can teach these through the dart, you can pick up other resources, but it gives you, for this age group, what they need to know. Parts of speech, punctuation, any skills that you want to add, you can add in there. It also gives you a checklist of the things that you might need to do to prep for the dart each week. All these things will need to be done with a week, and all the things that the kids might need to do in a week. And these are the things for a month. Now remember, all of this is just suggestions. You can take what you want and leave what you want. This is not meant to be like, you have to do it exactly like this. This is just to help you see how you could implement this in your own homeschool. So next we're going to look inside. We're not going to look at the whole thing, but we'll look at least one lesson from Mr. Popper's Penguins. So this book is the Dart level. So this is for about kids ages 8 to 10. And you will read the book with your child. And each week you have a copywork passage. Now the copywork passages in Dart are much shorter than they're going to be as you move up the levels. You talk about why this passage was picked, some things that you can pull out of the passage, things to take note. Now one thing to tell you too, most people do not do absolutely everything for each copywork passage in each week. They pick the things that work best for their family and leave the rest. So it talks about how to teach the passage, so what spelling to talk about, copywork, things that you can mention to your child. And then in this case, they're going to be talking about plural nouns, and it gives you a lesson that you can do on plural nouns. And words for colors, it gives you a lesson you can do for that, and more color words. So it gives you lessons that you can do to help you discuss the topic. Then it also will have a grammar highlight. So all of this is usually, the first stuff is usually literary based information here. And then you're going to have the grammar that you're going to do. So it talks about the grammar here, which is common errors. So it's talking about common spelling errors and common errors in grammar, and it gives you more information. Here's an activity that you can do with your children, and that's it for that week. And so the whole thing is going to go through and do that with each one. And then when you come to the end, you will have a writing activity at the end of each one that you can choose to do with your child or not. You can just do this for a day or take a whole week just to do this, or whatever you want to do. And then you've got your big juicy questions. These are discussion questions with your kids. These are not kind of regurgitate back to me what we've read questions. These are questions that get you thinking and discussing the book together, and you're going to want to keep track of these as you're reading because they come at different places in the story. And then there's book club party ideas. So if you want to have a party with your child, or if you want to read this book with a bunch of other kids and have a book club together, it's got all sorts of really fun ideas of things that you can do with your kids. Then in the back, it's got some worksheets that you can use to help with your copywork and dictation, and then a page for notes for you. So that is it for the grammar and the mechanics and literature. So this is going to be grammar and literature for your family, and this is start level, but they'll go up to the 4 levels. So the last thing that I wanted to talk about, well, I guess there's 2 more things to talk about, but I wanted to talk about Julie's book The Brave Learner. This is available on Amazon. This is my all-time favorite homeschooling book. I do not have the print copy of it. I have the Audible copy, and I listen to it over and over and over again. The first time I listened to it, I was overwhelmed because I felt like, oh my goodness, this is so wonderful. There's all this stuff, and I wish that I could do it, and I felt a little bit inadequate. But then I figured out that that is completely not how it's meant. So I read through it, and each time I read through it until I find something that challenges me. And then I stop and I work on that with my family, and I really try and work on it and improve. Right now I'm working on adding more celebration into our home and trying to celebrate holidays and do special things together, because that doesn't come naturally to me. And then once I feel like I'm strong with that, I'm going to pick up and keep reading, and I'll listen through again until something hits me that I really want to work on for our homeschool. And this has just been a really great asset, and it really just talks about how, yes, you have the Brave Writer programs, but it's all about a lifestyle. Homeschooling is a lifestyle, and it's about relationship with your children, and I don't know, this is just a great book, and it kind of ties everything together. The last thing that I want to show you is just a peek inside of the community membership program. And so I'm not going to go into huge deep detail because this is a membership and it's a paid thing, and I don't want to share too much, but a lot of times people ask questions. And so I thought I would just show you a little bit of what is inside. So you have your masterclass in learning. And so at least once a month, there is a Zoom presentation from a professional, and oftentimes you can join, where you learn about different topics. And then you can go back, they save all of them, and you can go back and find those classes and watch them, and there's usually linked information and a lot of stuff that goes along with the presentation. And they've got things on personal enrichment, science of learning, all these different kinds of areas, so you can go in and check those out anytime. There's also community coaching. So this is a message board where you can chat with all of the members of the community, and there are coaches that are specifically trained by the Brave Learner program to help answer your questions and help you as you're coming against struggles in your homeschool. And you can also get input from other people in the community as well. They also have, in the masterclass, they have a monthly check-in where everyone can join on Zoom and just share how your homeschool is going. There's also one thing challenges. So this is a way to kind of help you incorporate the Brave Learner lifestyle into your home. So they'll pick one things, like in nature, they might pick the stars. And so they'll give you a few activities based on each age, a way to explore the stars and just kind of give you a pushing start to completely get lost in a subject with your children and take it as far as they are interested. And each month there's something new, and then plus you have all the old ones you can go back on. There's Start Your Journey. So if you're a new homeschooler, this is you'll pick your path, and it will help you, give you a guide, a step-by-step guide of things that you can do to start your homeschool out on the right path. There's an events calendar, and then a coaching notebook, which again, for any homeschooler at any stage, it's a workbook that you can go through to help enhance your homeschooling. And that is pretty much what is in the Brave Learner Home membership. So that was a look inside of the different programs offered by Brave Writer. They also have some in-person, online, like real-time courses and things like that that I don't have experience with, so I can't share much about that, but you can definitely check that out on their website. And Brave Learner is something that we incorporate into our homeschool a lot. I started it piece by piece over the last, really solidly over the last year or two, and it has really just changed our homeschool in so many ways. I use a lot of the principles in the Writer's Jungle, and when I'm trying to pick out writing projects, one of the first places that I'll go is to the Jot It Down or the partnership writing. That's where my kids are at level-wise. So I'll go there and I'll look for ideas and see if there's any way that I can adapt them to go with the unit study that we're doing, or to go to meet the needs of my kids, but I'll always get my ideas from there first. And after doing a few of the arrows and darts straight from the Brave Writer program, I started taking those concepts and using them on books that we are reading that aren't even covered by the Brave Writer program, and we use copy work, we look at the passages, we try and do big juicy questions and all of that, which is inspired by the Brave Writer system. And it has really revolutionized our homeschool, and so that is kind of how we do it. Now, if we are doing a book that happens to have a dart or an arrow to go along with it, I will usually purchase that just because it makes my work a little bit easier, but it has been really revolutionary in our homeschool. One of the reasons that I'm posting this video today is because it is June, and every year in June they have a big sale where if you buy a complete year of dart, arrow, boomerang, or slingshot, you automatically will get a lifetime membership into the Brave Learner Home, which is their online membership program. So a lot of people are checking this out to see, should I do this? What should I do? How should it work? Whatever. So maybe this will kind of answer some of your questions. And also, just to let you know, the way it works is if you buy a year-long program to any level of their mechanics and literature program, what happens is each month the program for that month is released. So you don't buy it and get the whole year at one time. You'll get each month as it's released. And if you don't want the membership program and you want to wait, you can also buy them individually as they're released. And that way you can pick and choose from the different levels. You can also go back into the archives and get any of the programs, any of the units that they've had for any of the books throughout the years, and those are available to you as well. So you can definitely go through the program if you like the books that they're doing and just boom, go through it with them, or you can pick and choose books that you want to use that are specifically interesting to your family. And like I said, do not feel like if you have a child in a certain age group that you can only get books from that level. You can definitely pick and choose whatever books you think your child will need, and then you can just adapt the copy work as needed. So again, I hope that was helpful for you guys. If you have any more questions, let me know. I will be leaving a lot more information in the description box below. And if you're interested in these curriculum reviews, as well as the books that we're reading and loving in our homeschool, or anything else related to homeschool, please hit that subscribe button. I would love to have you as part of the community here, and I hope that you are having a great day. I'll talk to you later. Bye.